Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back. Good afternoon, you chasers. Good to see so many familiar names in the chat already. And Dean, this is a new time slot for us. Not only is
Very
it a
new.
different day, it's a different time.
Yeah, it feels very, very strange to be seeing you right now. It's like when you go to school and then you never see your friends at the weekends, and then suddenly you see like your best friend when you're like 8 years old on a Saturday. It just feels so wrong, but so right. Like, thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully we get a few different people today that actually watch the live as well. So that's good. I mean, look, what a week of football we are in the midst of right now. I mean, how are you feeling, mate? Your Chelsea team on the verge of getting a new manager and one finally that is actually quite good.
I mean, I was pro Luis Enrique. I'm definitely pro Pochettino. I didn't particularly get excited about Nagelsmann. So from the three big candidates that have been sort of suggested in recent weeks, I'm very happy with Poch. I'm a big fan of Mason Mount, and I also think he'll be a very Poch player. I think Poch has also spoken in the past about how Havertz could be key for him as well. So some of my favourite Chelsea players also, I think, will work well under him. But he has got to trim that squad. He won't want to work with all those big names. And, there will be big names that go in the summer, I expect.
Yeah, it's one of his big jobs for sure. Yeah, he's got to iron out this squad. It's very bloated, isn't it? Especially when you haven't got any European football to think about. So he's got to do that. But won't be many transfers coming in either, I wouldn't have thought. But I personally think Luis Enrique was the one I would have gone for just on like surface level stuff. But like everyone attached to Chelsea seems really excited about that one. I guess in FPL terms, mate, there's only one game in town, isn't there? And actually just in world football, it's not even FPL, is it? Like Man City, Arsenal is just headline.
Yeah, it's still in both their hands. Like Arsenal have to win. Like a draw, City are happy with the draw probably. But City are massive favourites. The way Arsenal have been defending of late, Dean, like I think from FPL perspective, we're all still captaining Haaland. Sometimes when like Haaland's our default captain in FPL usually, right? But sometimes when he goes up against a Man United or an Arsenal or a Liverpool, we look outside the box and we consider other options. Salah and Jota play West Ham this week. There's a few. Ollie Watkins plays Fulham at home. We're just not going to consider going against Haaland because, yes, he's flying, but also Arsenal defence has been so poor, isn't it? They're just shipping goals.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, we are looking here if Saliba's obviously not going to be making the game. Whenever Saliba hasn't been there for Arsenal, like they're just not as defensively strong. And now you've got the proposition of Erling Haaland against Rob Holding. And I don't like picking on footballers because I think it's harsh. And, at the end of the day, they've got to be very good to even get to be at that level. But coming into this season, Arsenal weren't prepared that their fourth choice centre-back was going to have to play in one of the biggest games they've ever had in their history. And that's kind of where we're at. And he's going to be marking like the guy. Yeah, I mean, that's where my concern would come from, mostly from an Arsenal point of view. But also, Xhaka's doubtful. Now, if Xhaka's doubtful, then that, again, like there's just that part of the team, like literally that part of the pitch that you can get through so much easier, can't you? Like that is something that Man City, I think, are just going to relish.
Yeah, when we saw like Arsenal against Southampton dropping points, you realise what a key cog Xhaka is. And he's had some stick in the last few years. And this year, I think Arsenal fans have realised how important he is. And his performances, certainly at the start of the season, were incredible. But you see him come out of that team, and I think Vieira came in, and it's such a different style of player with a different profile. I was really surprised Jorginho, I wonder if he had a knock, didn't get the nod. But I think Jorginho will replace Xhaka, and he'll be slightly better for it. But still,
yeah,
Xhaka's athleticism and his fight and his determination, his physicality, massive, massive miss for Arsenal.
Yeah, in terms of FPL, mate, what are your must-dos here or must-don'ts?
I mean, Arsenal are an interesting one because if you weren't on a free hit last week, or even if you were, we were heavily invested in Arsenal. But now when you look at their run and you look at the points they've been dropping, I think we're probably looking to move on some of our Arsenal players. And we're certainly not looking to buy them. What I'd say about Arsenal is they score goals against anyone. We saw them go to Anfield and score a couple of goals. So Xhaka and Martinelli, I still think this is an okay fixture for them. I think Arsenal, Man City will have goals. I'm not expecting a clean sheet either end. But Man City, like loads of us have got Grealish now. I think he's still a good own. Haaland, of course, I think will be heavily captained and rightly so. So I'm expecting goals. When the big teams play each other, this isn't a league which we've seen in years before when, I don't know, Mourinho was at Chelsea or even at United or Spurs. When big team would play big team, it was often a sort of a slog, a 1-0 win or tight games. Now when the big teams play the big teams, they both back themselves. They've got managers that play attractive front foot football. When Pep meets Arteta, they're going to score goals. When Arteta met Klopp recently, they went to score goals. We saw United, Liverpool was 7-1 or whatever it was. Like, these managers go up against each other, and we shouldn't be put off from an FPL perspective for the slight underdog, because they're games with goals in.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark's just said, "Is deadline stream just going on for a few hours?" Yeah, we're gonna be here, right? We're gonna be here for 4 hours.
What time is the deadline tonight? Is it 6 o'clock?
I presume so. We're ahead of deadline, Mark. We're ahead of deadline. It's deadline day, and this was the best shot of getting us both together on the show ahead of this game week. So this is just how it's worked out. Thanks for everyone that has jumped on. What we're gonna do, we normally obviously do fresh off the press now. But there's a lot of press conferences actually going on as we're speaking, so it doesn't really make any sense for us to guess stuff. So we'll do a lot of that at the back end of the show, shall we? We've
got like 40 minutes. We should have some good quotes, because I think Guardiola's at a press conference is 1:30. I think Lampard's 1:30. Klopp's just had his. So yeah, we'll have some juicy quotes by kind of in half an hour's time for you guys.
The problem with the Thursday games is that we're not getting much here, if anything.
None of those managers are in press conferences today, are they?
No, you've got Everton, Everton, Newcastle, Southampton, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Man United. It's pretty tight there in terms of what we're going to be getting out. And I know a couple of people, Haley's the latest to say, any news on Bruno Fernandes being fit and available? We've seen the picture you've seen. I mean,
it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good. That's all we can say at this stage. No,
I think he's missed 2 games in his United career through injury. This guy does not miss games injured. It just doesn't happen. But it's a tight turnaround. And when you look, they've got a double game week. Game week 34 is a double for them. I think he misses Spurs and he has a chance for the double. But honestly, if he plays on Thursday night, having seen that picture, having seen him come off early, seen the art, I'd be very surprised. It just surely doesn't happen. And look, I own Bruno. I think I'm going to sell him.
Yeah, I think it's the only sensible thing to do at the moment. I think obviously like the amount of game time he's had, he was actually injured during the game and carried on for I think longer than he probably should have. I don't know if that's aggravated it or not, but I was speaking to someone who seemed to think that like he was just determined not to let the injury get the better of him. And I guess that goes back to what you're saying there. He doesn't miss games through injury. He plays through the pain. And while Ten Hag will be desperate to give him the benefit of the doubt, like he needs him as much as he can get him out there, you don't want to make the problem worse. You don't want Bruno like missing the back end of this season, especially now they've got an FA Cup final to look out for as well. I mean, that's such a big game, but obviously this is a big one in terms of going after the top 4, isn't it? And what we probably have to think about is that the adaptations of that Man United team and who might play that Bruno Fernandes role. Is there anyone you might think of a replacement, or we just leave it alone?
I think I leave it alone. I mean, Sabitzer has impressed when he's played in that 10 role, but United without Bruno are so much weaker. And from an FPL perspective, I look at my midfield and I've been thinking for ages, how do I accommodate Mo Salah? Which one? I don't want to sell my Brighton mids. I don't want to sell Grealish. I don't want to sell Rashford. So now I can sell Bruno and kind of it's his ready-made replacement.
Yeah, that's true. Resting Pilgrim says, would you play Martinelli over Bruno? I mean, I'm not expecting great output from Martinelli in this game, but at least he's going to be out there.
I think I would. I mean, with Bruno, Dean, with that sort of injury, he either starts and he's fine or he misses out. This is not someone that's going to come on as an impact sub. He's either fit enough to play, which I think is very unlikely, or he misses out completely. So I wouldn't start him in my FPL team just in case. No, sorry. What am I saying here? Yeah, I would. There's not a fear of a 10-minute cameo. So I would probably start him instead of Martinelli, and then you get that auto sub. You're not going to get a 1-point 10-minute cameo from Bruno, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, totally.
Dean, have you seen the Chelsea news? It's pretty bad. I've just seen it. Reece James is unavailable, probably for the season. Mason Mount the same, potentially for the last game of the season. And Kai is struggling a bit with his knee, should be in training by the end of the week. So
Are they all the players you just
Havertz
listed
is
as your
out.
favourites at the top of the show?
Literally. So James is out for the season. Mount probably is out for the season. Apparently he's been struggling with this pelvic injury, which we know. And then might be in training by the end of the week, so he's going to miss as well. Like, I own Kai Havertz. I'm definitely selling him now. But terrible news for Lampard. Like, Mason Mount and Reece James.
I mean, yeah, obviously Mason Mount, we've been waiting to get a proper run in this team under Lampard. But yeah, if that injury has been underlying, then it's clear why we haven't been seeing many minutes for him. That actually underlines my feeling again that Frank Lampard isn't going to win a game as Chelsea manager, because that's pretty key. The Reece James thing is probably the one that gets me the most worried for them. That's really bad for Reece James. Haven't seen it, obviously, no, because we're just on here, but I'm going to look at that in a second.
Yeah, it came in 3 minutes ago on my Twitter timeline. I think I've just retweeted.
Did it say what the problem was?
Nope. No.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a bad time of things. Feel for him. I'm going to text someone in a bit and see if I can find out a bit more on that, because that is worrying. Yeah, it's worrying. But have you got him in your team? No, we haven't got him in either of us.
No, oh wow. Olivia Bazaglo was the one that got the tweet. So Frank Lampard has just confirmed that Reece James and Mason Mount are both out for the rest of the season. CFC source Olivia Bazaglo. Friend of the channel, friend of Chasing Green Arrows. Yeah, she got the first question, didn't she? And she was clearly at the press conference.
Mark says, sounds like Mount has the same injury as Maddison, just never seems to go away. Tough ones, aren't they, those? Especially when you're playing at that level and you can't ease off at all. Is one thing. Hang on, did you play your cup final, mate?
Oh, mate.
Just dawned on. I was about to talk about being able to play at that level, and I just thought, hang on, Gianni was supposed to play at a high level at the weekend.
I didn't get in the squad. I didn't make the cut. I was gutted. On Friday morning, I got the phone call from the manager, and I've been out injured. So I've been seeing like an osteopath 2-3 times a week. I thought I'd prepared for it. I played the Tuesday night to try and get some minutes under my belt to show the manager I was fit for the Friday. And clearly he didn't like what he saw on the Tuesday night, because I got a call on Friday morning being like, he was like, mate, I'm so sorry. It's just the way it's happened. Like, there's your fitness issue. There's your availability. And I can only name a 5-person bench. And I want you there with me in the dugout and da-da-da. But I mean, it turns out from the 5-man bench, only 2-3 of them played sort of 15 minutes plus, but the rest, so one didn't come on and the other, I think, got a couple of minutes. Went to a shootout. We were 3-1 down. We got the equal with 5 minutes to go, 6 minutes added time, and we scored 2 goals in added time, 3-3. Went to a shootout. We lost 7-6.
Oh, no.
Sudden death. It was great to be a part of it. Obviously, it was bittersweet. Like, if we had won, it would have been bittersweet. But I was gutted not to make the squad because I thought I was all right.
Yeah, you're excited about that, weren't you?
I know. And I've got a game tonight, which has been cancelled.
Oh, blimey.
So yeah, can't even make amends.
Oh, dear.
But no, mate. Yeah, I'm well. Thank you for asking. And look, guys, we'll keep you posted on team news. We'll have more on team news later in the show. But look, coming up in today's show, we're going to be talking about players to bring into your team this week. We're going to be showing our teams and our plan moves. I can confirm my moves now. I know about an injury or two. But look, because we're streaming at a different time, just want to give a shout out to the likes of Kareem and Bulo and Blake, JP and Josh, Gianpaolo, new names around here that we don't always see. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Do hit that like button if you enjoy what you're seeing. We're with you for another 45 minutes. And also, if you're new around here, do subscribe to the channel as well. We do these streams twice a week. We'll be back on Friday. Obviously, there's an FPL deadline tonight. And the fixtures are coming thick and fast. So before we show you our teams, let's move on and have a look at some tips and chips for this week. Dean, Ali J is in the chat, and I saw he's up to world number 3. So
mate,
Ali
he's
J,
doing so well. Ali, like, unbelievable to like keep staying in that conversation. Like, it's been a long time now that he's been up there. Like,
Yeah,
So
pretty
difficult.
impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it just must be the nerves of looking at all the lineups around you, studying them, believing in your own instincts, but having the guts to go through with them when you know that, like, there's a couple that are different to what you're going through. I mean, you obviously do this anyway because you're trying to put yourself in a situation against other content creators that take you into a positive light, and you have to compete with them and you make big decisions. But imagine being first, second, third, fourth. He says, I'm just surviving there. Yeah,
I don't
you're
know. I
doing
mean,
better than surviving.
he had a free hit of 81. You know, to put that into perspective, you know, my free hit, I think it was 62. He had Castagna, 10 points. He had Isaac, 13 points. Johnson in goal, 10. Like, obviously,
And
Martinelli and
massive
Saka,
calls,
Salah,
just
big
so
calls.
good. They're
Like
big.
Castagna, 10 points. I mean, when does a Leicester defender get you 10 points? I mean, they didn't keep it clean, but he scored the goal. And Isaac, great shout. Like
Yeah,
someone I've
Isaac
bigged
is.
up all week, but didn't pick. Well, he was in Ali's team, and Ali has still got his wild card. So world number 3 in the chat, friend of the show. He's got a wild card. The other two above him. And in fact, if I look down, I think I have to look down about 30 places till I see a manager that's still got a wild card in hand from the top 25, 30. So, Ali, let us know. Are you using your wild card this week? I'm guessing you're close to using your wild card. I don't know if I should use wild card now or next game week. He's still torn. Wow. I mean,
save it for the last game of the season.
Yeah, and then counter it. Personally, Ali, I mean, I don't know what your team looks like without the wild card, but I would give it another week and go into the doubles with the wild card in hand, because with the fast turnaround, there'll be injuries this week, there'll be suspensions, there'll be things we don't know about with those press conferences not happening till Thursday. I think I'd wait. But look, one team Ali will be eyeing up on wildcard, whether he goes today or whether he goes Friday. I almost guarantee he'll be recruiting 3 Liverpool players. And Dean, what do you make of Liverpool at the moment? Because this pass map is from the Leeds game. The first game, Trent played in the kind of inverted role in midfield. It's almost like a double pivot. Him and Fabinho are the midfield base, the two, if you like. And what that means is Salah is a little bit wider when Trent's not on the right, but Salah's still proper high and proper dangerous. We also see in this role Jota on the left. When Hakpo comes off, Jota does go into that central position as we saw at the weekend. My 3 Liverpool assets I've just spoken about would all be in a wildcard team. I'd have Trent, I'd have Salah, and I'd have Jota. They play West Ham away on Wednesday night. West Ham will be on their 3rd game in 6 days. 3rd game in 6 days for West Ham. And then Liverpool go have a double in 34 with 2 homes, Fulham and Spurs. They're good fixtures at Anfield.
They are pretty good fixtures, those ones, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've surprised me. I think the Trent decision's been a big one. It's probably come way too late in the season too, knowing, all the stick he's got this season for being too exposed and, everyone, fans literally saying, try him in midfield. I think he'll be much better there. And he really is.
Carragher's said it for years.
Yeah, it's very strange that it has taken this long. It's been quite obvious to us. Maybe in training is better. But the thing that's really impressed me too is on Jota. I was skeptical about how many minutes he would get. I was thinking of making him I know I missed the show, but I was going to make him my against the obvious. I just wasn't convinced about his minutes. And I'm glad I missed the show now because I didn't have to go through the embarrassment of that. But the way that Jota reacts to opportunities is just unbelievable. Like his ability to move his body and get the angles right and get his shots away or make the little passes. His decision making reactions are absolutely brilliant. And I kind of obviously we haven't seen enough of him this season for him to be ingrained in our brains again. But the last couple of performances, I've just been so impressed with his decision making in those tight moments. And yeah, Danny says, I told you Jota over Hakpo. Well, obviously I've got Hakpo. So that's where I am right now. And probably have to stick with him.
Mate, you make such a great point about his instincts and his movement, because watching that first header he scored at the weekend, which was like a 3-yard header, he looked easy. I think it was Fabinho heads it across the box. Jota reacts quicker than anyone. And he's moving towards that header way ahead of the centre-backs marking him. But before the ball even comes across, he's just read what could happen. And therefore, he's in the right place at the right time. And he reminds me of a bit like Michael Owen, who I always thought, great fox in the box. But Michael Owen was always good in the air as well. Not the tallest, but great in the air. He's got really good leap. And yeah, proper impressive. But Trent also could have had 3-4 assists at the weekend. I think he got the 1 assist, but his XGI, Trent, against Forest, 0.72. Against Leeds, 0.84. Against Arsenal before that, 0.62. Trent is putting up amazing assist threat. Very little goal threat. That's fine. So I think you're going to get bonus points every time with Trent when he's creating those sorts of chances. Especially, they don't even need to keep a clean sheet and Trent gets bonus. He got a bonus point in the weekend and they conceded 2 goals.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, definitely 3 that would be on my radar. Let's have a look at Jota's numbers in a little bit more detail. By the way, that graphic there was taken off of Between the Posts. So shout out to them. And that's actually something I spoke about on my YouTube channel, which you can go and watch that video. I'll plug it later in the show. But look, this is taken from Scribed BYJ. And awesome graphic. Follow him on Twitter. But I love this. This is just from the game week on. But we can see there, played 80 minutes and 2 returns, got the 3 bonus. But look at the expected goals. When you see a 1.5, you always think, he must have had a penalty in there because you get 0.78 for a pen. He's clocked 1.5 XG, Jota, in a single game without even a penalty. To put it in perspective, Salah's XG in the same game was 0.43.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, proper big chances fall in Jota's way. 10 penalty area touches. You've got 3 big chances. There's an argument to say, if you're going for a Liverpool attacker and you can only fit 1 in, should it be Jota instead of Salah now? And look, the XGI per 90 all season long, and this is per 90, which is what makes it interesting, is Harry Kane's top. We always know when Mahrez plays, Mahrez delivers, but we never know about starts. And then Diogo Jota, there he is in 3rd. Proper danger asset, Dean.
Yeah, he definitely is. Yeah, I'm just trying to look up how well owned he is at this stage.
He must be a differential. He must be 10%?
He got to still be, hasn't he? Just trying to find it on here now. 3.5% at the moment. That'll be going up this week, I'm sure.
Could he miss out against West Ham, do you reckon? Because is it time he needs some rotation and Darwin comes in? Obviously, he's first choice, but should we be worried about a little bit of rotation with all these games? He's going to miss 1 soon, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the last 2 games, he's played 80 minutes. So the thing is, though, Klopp's basically been picking the same side. Yeah. And that's kind of where the joys come from in the Leeds and Forest games to get over the line and get the points in the bag they need. So there's going to be a temptation from him not to rattle things too much. Yeah. He knows he's got players that can come in. If Jota's not on form for this one, he does start to look like he's not quite as sharp. And then he's got options. I mean, Luis Diaz is even coming back into contention now again, as well as Darwin having the option of him. So, finally, Liverpool are looking like they've got most of their squad back and actually some of them actually in form, which they haven't had all season. So there's a possibility here that Liverpool genuinely do have a strong end to the season. After this West Ham away game, they've got 3 straight home matches against Tottenham, Fulham, Brentford. And then they got away Leicester, home Aston Villa, away Southampton. I mean, it's just a great run of games, isn't it?
If they win them all, top 4's on.
Can you imagine? I mean, it's doable. It's doable. You look at that on paper, it certainly looks doable. So in reality, I'm sure they'll have a slip up here and there because Liverpool have not been consistent all season and you can't trust them. But this is probably the most trustworthy they've been, even though I know they had, a couple of moments against Forest there when it wasn't exactly convincing. Babani says top 4 is very, very tough. Yeah, well, I think we need to underline that fact. It's obviously very, very tough. But at a moment when, there's all sorts of stuttering going on. Tottenham are all over the place. Man United, who knows what we're going to get from them in the coming weeks. They've got injuries. They've got a cup final to consider. There's all sorts of issues there. They're not even playing that well, are they? Like in that cup semi-final, it didn't feel like there was much in that game at all. So if Liverpool can find a little bit of momentum, especially those next 4 games, the away one and then 3 homes, I do quite fancy him to take 12 points there.
Yeah, I think I do. Klopp presser was earlier, and he said on Jota, he's got back to speed. Diogo's a super smart player and can play in different positions. He's not the tallest, but is an extreme threat in the air and good with both feet. He has the speed. Like, he's clearly central to Jurgen's plans. And yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with that front three moving forward. But yeah, I've definitely got my eye on Jota. If not for the West Ham game, I think for the double game week 34. In a way, I'd like to see Darwin play the West Ham game, so I know Jota comes back in for 34, because I don't think I can stretch to Jota this week, but I can next. But let's have a look at how we're shaping up, Dean, with our teams. Yeah. And then, guys, we have plenty of time to be answering your questions today. We are monitoring the chat always. It's great to see so many new faces in there. If you like what you're seeing, guys, please do hit that like button. And also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. In the chat as well, Ali J, world number 3. So again, feel free to ask Ali your questions, because I'm sure he'll get back to you. He's thinking about wildcarding this week. Let's have a look at our teams with our team reveals.
Yeah. So, how did my last game week go? Let's just have a quick look back before I talk about this week.
Oh, yeah, because you weren't on free hit, but you still got 11 out, didn't you? Your team was in good shape.
Yeah, I got 58 points. It was okay. Got, maybe just about a slight green arrow. I've got mostly green arrows across my thing. 2 mini leagues I went down, but 4 I went up, and overall I went up. So it's okay, but I have dropped again in my overall ranking. So I need to pick up again. This is where I am at right now. Just brought in Haaland back into the team, obviously. He's captain. I don't know what to do about Harry Kane, to be honest with you. I think I'm just going to leave it.
Do you think he could score against United, knowing they've played 120? Because I'm thinking about leaving him in my team. Originally, I was going to sell him this week, but it's one of those fixtures. Do we get a bit of a interim new manager bounce? I don't know.
I mean, surely there's something in this Tottenham team that's going to eventually surface again and show some bite. The reason I like sticking with Kane is the self-determination of him. Yeah. The way that he scored that goal against Newcastle was just like he'd given up. I said to, I think it was actually on Ranks FC, I said, it reminded me of when you're playing five-a-side and you've been put in the team that isn't as good as the other team, and you're getting a bit of a stuffing, and then you just get the ball from kickoff, and you just really aggressively just charge past and just smash it in. You're just really annoyed and want to
don't celebrate.
Yeah, you don't celebrate. You walk back, and you don't even look at anyone.
You're just I'm sick of this.
It literally is that. That's what Harry Kane did against Newcastle.
So true.
And that's kind of what I'm counting on happening again. Also, it's Man United. It's a team that are interested in signing him.
Potential buyer, yeah.
You know, it's whether he wants to leave or not, he needs to use these big games to either enhance contract talks or put himself on the shop table to be sold. It's an interesting one as to how he approaches this game, but because there are so many little variations of how this can play out, and a lot of them center around Harry Kane being the headline act, I think I'm going to have to stick with him, especially United. Yeah. They've obviously got defensive flaws right now. They've got concerns there. I think he can prey on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, mate. I think I'm going to keep him too. I think I'll sell him ahead of 34 because he's got Liverpool and there's loads of good players out there with double game weeks. But for Man United, who've just played 120, got to travel back to London, Kane bouncing back off that defeat. I still think Man United win the game, but I think we could get Kane points. He's just a dangerous player to be selling this week. What about your Brighton players, mate? Because March, Matoma, Stupinan, I'm on the same 3, and I just saw De Zerbi, who's been in a press conference. He said it's too early to know the starting 11. We'll decide in the morning. I've got a lot of ideas. I'm not sure if they're all the right ideas, but I have ideas. This isn't a team used to playing twice in 3-4 days. They've not been involved in Europe, but do you think they'll just go, we need to put our best team forward? It's Forest. It's a winnable game. 3 points.
I think so. I mean, it's an awkward one because they obviously will be exhausted. I mean, Solly March has got the emotional aspect of it too after missing the penalty. I mean, the guy looked absolutely devastated.
Local lad as well.
I felt for him massively. Big game. Really felt for him. Mitoma, looked on his last legs. I mean, when he went on that dribble, when he just ended up kicking De
Gave
Gea
up.
instead of trying to score, he was just knackered. So it's difficult to know. But this is my conundrum, really, because I've obviously got 2 Arsenal players here on the bench.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, well, Brighton, if they are fine and they go to Nottingham Forest, then these are the guys that basically decide that game, and they want to get back to normal ways. Can I trust them to do that, or can I trust Arsenal at the Etihad in basically a cup final to produce either a clean sheet in Gabriel's sense, or for Martinelli to score a goal? And at the moment, when I sent his team in, my hunch was that I'd probably trust the Brighton guys more than the Arsenal guys.
Yeah, I think I do. I'd just say with Arsenal versus City, I wonder if on the counter, Saka and Martinelli are so dangerous, and they both did well against Liverpool recently. And I don't know. I can't think who I would drop to the bench to put Martinelli in, but I guess Martinelli would be one of those bench players I'd be looking at going, how can I squeeze him in? But I think you've probably got it right. Let us know in the chat.
Yeah,
Who would you stick Martinelli in for out of that 11? Well, out of that front 7, who would you drop out?
Kareem says play Martinelli. Trust me, it hurts to see him sat there. Like, it's really it's nerve-wracking, because there's also part of me thinks, well, maybe I take out one of the Brighton players, but typically I always take out the wrong one. So that seems silly too. Martinelli over Saka, says Bill.
Oh, the penalty appeal though. He's still on pens. That has been confirmed.
That is it. Like, he's still on pens. I know he missed his last one, but still on pens. There's always a decent chance of getting one in a game like this. Drop Gakpo.
Oh, I wouldn't drop Gakpo. No, he played 60 minutes, so he's fresh. He'll start. West Ham 3 games in 6 days. No chance.
Yeah, there's a few are now saying Gakpo in the comments. They're not liking the look of that, but no, I don't trust Arsenal enough at the Etihad for this game. So I'm going to have to go with my gut instinct here and leave Martinelli on the bench.
Solly to bounce back. Transfer this week, Dean. You're not looking to use one. You'll roll it, right? And then
I bought Haaland in already. I brought Haaland in. Yeah. I can't remember.
It says at the top there, 0 free transfers. So yeah, you're well set though for the double 34 as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm well set for it. I had Darwin Núñez up front, and that was a complete waste of time. So he's gone again. Haaland is back.
Let's have a look at my team then. Dean is pretty well set off the back of a good 33 without a free hit. I think 58 is a good score. In fact, before I go through my team, just want to mention in the comments a few. FPL Rob is with us, has asked about Kelechi Iheanacho. Yeah, he is on pens, Rob, but he still doesn't get 90 minutes. But yeah, a good buy. Leicester don't have the double in 34. Otherwise, I think we'd be looking at the likes of Iheanacho. Good to see others in the chat. Derek, he'd go Martinelli over Saka. Interesting. Oscar makes a good point on being huge Arsenal game. Shah news, don't know yet. By the way, Nathan Ake news. I've got him in my team. You can see he's flagged. Apparently, Pep wasn't asked in the broadcast section of his press conference anything about Nathan Ake's injury today. So Ian Irvin clearly wasn't in that press conference. Friend of the channel, Ian, must be
a strange one to miss out. I mean, that's very odd.
He's been a big part of their team this season.
Yeah, I was reading a piece earlier that still flagged him as doubtful. So obviously there are still concerns there, but you'd have thought he'd got an update.
Yeah, me too. So gutted about that, because again, I'm looking at possibly turning Ake into Trent, which I'll probably end up doing in 34, which will be annoying because Ake doubles in 34. But with a hamstring, you just don't know. Hamstring could be 1 week, it could be 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah. Tony's in the chat, Big Ed's in the chat, Reston, Pilgrim, FPL Guns, World number 3 is still with us. Thank you guys for your support. We've still got another 25 minutes. Make sure you hit that like button though, because there's over 275 of you in the chat and only 61 of you think are kind of enjoying the stream. So show some appreciation, team. Okay, so I've got 1 free transfer. Bruno, I think, is going to miss out, and I'm happy to sell him. I don't want to sell him, but I'm going to sell him for Salah. Now, to make that happen, I don't need to sell Harry Kane, which is what so many have to do. I can sell Havertz and Bruno and bring in Salah and some waste man. So
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in Greenwood, who is the cheapest forward in the game. 4 million Greenwood from Leeds will come into my team. And CH has just said, is Havertz leaving? Yes, Nuclear. And yes, I finally benched Havertz. Very good, very good. So Havertz is going. So I'm going to have a dead spot in my team. Now, you might be thinking, can't you find the funds and bring in a Solanke or someone a little bit more expensive than Greenwood? Do you know what? That third sub, that Greenwood spot, isn't going to feature in my team this season. And it actually stops the benching headaches. When you plan ahead, if you've got a squad of 15 like I've got, because you've just bench boosted not long ago, and you look at all the doubles coming up, honestly, there are so many benching headaches between now and the end of the season if you've got a good squad. Guys, it's okay to slim it down and to just write off a spot now. There's only, 6-7 game weeks left. So, yeah, for me, Greenwood will come in, and then my bench will be Botman first sub. I'm okay with that because he's got Everton away. He could easily keep a clean sheet. And if not, yeah, I'm hoping I don't need to rely on Ake or Greenwood. But hopefully a 12-man team this week will be sufficient. And then next week, my plan is to sell Harry Kane and Ake, and I'll have money to do this to turn those guys into 2 more Liverpool players. So it'll be another 4-point hit, Trent and Jota coming in.
Nice. Very well planned, mate. Very well planned. How you feeling about Chilwell, by the way, long term under Pochettino? That's going to be nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very happy about that.
We were talking about this earlier on the podcast. We're thinking with a Pochettino team, like the fullbacks that he's going to be inheriting at Chelsea, they're perfect, aren't they, for what he's going to be looking for? So I'm thinking like next season, we haven't had many must-haves from Chelsea in this season in our teams. But if Pochettino does go and sign this contract as we all expect, then I think there's going to be quite a few Chelsea players when we get to the pre-season shows that are going to be very high. I'm already excited about that. I was thinking about it earlier. I
can't wait for next season already.
I wonder when they put out the new game.
Yeah, and also think of the Chelsea prices because they've been so bad this year. They're all going to have price drops. So the likes of Chilwell and Reece James could be like 5.5 million, 5 million. Like they'll be mid-price defenders. They won't even be premiums anymore.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, people, if any of you've got people that like watching FPL shows, get them involved over here. Introduce them. Yeah. Everyone gets one or more person involved, then we're flying over here.
So I'm taking a 4-point hit, Dean.
Yeah.
And Bruno comes out, Havertz comes out, Greenwood and Salah in. Next week, knowing I'm taking an additional 4-point hit next week to bring in Jota and Trent.
Yeah.
I could take that extra 4-point hit this week. So next week it's 1 transfer and this week it's 3. So I take an 8 this week and then no 4-point hit next. But to do that, I would have to sell Kane to Jota, which I'm happy to do next week. But pretty much my question is, who would you rather this week in your team? Would you prefer Kane versus United for 1 week only or Jota versus West Ham for 1 week only? That's my big question.
Oh, I mean, probably Jota.
Would you? Even though they're away?
I mean, you've already highlighted like West Ham's minutes that they're having to endure right now. Plus, they've got still that other competition in the back of their mind. That hasn't been a problem so far. They've been raising their games massively in the last 2 matches. But Liverpool are in a good rhythm, and Jota is too. Like he's in better form of the two. I've said before, I'm trusting on Kane basically taking this into his own hands to score against Man United, and like obviously there's the pen factor too that I would go for. It is tough, but yeah, Kareem says Jota is a streaky player. If he's in a streak, it means he's getting another 2 goals this weekend.
Yeah. It's tough because it's a really tough call. You can't guarantee Jota's going to start. With his injury, will he want to start him 3 times in a row, 3 times in a week? You know Kane's playing 90. Annoyingly, I'd do the Trent transfer early and take a -8 to bring Trent in because you know Trent's going to start, but I don't have the funds this week to go Ake to Trent. I need the Kane funds out to be able to make that upgrade.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, Kel says he's not even sure if he starts. I mean, it's a fair point. Nuclear also gives you an option. Says split the hit,
which is kind of what I'm planning. -4 and -4 rather than a -8.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's probably a bit more sensible, isn't it?
Yeah, and anything could happen. You make the -8 this week and go, oh, Jota got injured or Darwin scored a hat-trick and now he's in. So it gives me that extra week to consider it and play Kane,
Yeah.
who I think Kane will feel like a bit of a differential amongst the community because so many are now selling Kane to be able to upgrade Bruno to Salah.
Yeah.
Question about Watkins. I'm really scared about Watkins this week. This is the last game week. Watkins is really going to hurt me. And look, I've taken an absolute battering over the last 5-6 game weeks because of Ollie Watkins. So what's one more week? But I genuinely think he's a captaincy option this week. He's got Fulham at home, which is a good fixture on paper, and he's been flying. Sod's Law, the only week I've owned him this season was last week on a free hit and he blanked. But yeah, I'm really worried about Watkins. But no, I'm certainly not going to go and buy him now. I've missed the boat on that one. And I do think Watkins owners will be looking to sell him in a few weeks because Villa's fixtures turn. And the likes of Isak has a double game week coming up.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared of him tonight. Even though he's in my team, he's obviously playing against Fulham. So I'm a bit worried about that. He's in such a good place right now. He's been obviously reborn under Emery. He'll still score though. Like I understand what you're saying about the fixtures, but like he's just got this instinct about him at the moment. It's so typical of a striker that literally just needs to believe in himself and he'll get in the right positions again. Sometimes you try too hard, and I think Ollie Watkins looks a bit effortless at times now in terms of just being in the right place at the right time. It looks easy, but it's just because he's trusting those instincts that he's built up. And now there's talk of him getting properly into the England fold and all sorts. I think he'll probably be linked with some big teams soon too.
Yep. Yeah.
He shouldn't leave though. He shouldn't leave.
Yeah, and under Emery, like it just seems like a match made in heaven. Like the way Emery wants to play.
Yeah,
someone that's so good on the last man, on the shoulder, on the counter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going to make those moves. Got a couple of hours to do them. Just make sure that nothing else comes out in the press conferences. But yeah, I've seen a few that might be benching Jack Grealish this week because again, benching headaches are big. So a lot might have a similar looking team to me, but let's say Havertz instead of Watkins. Well, you're going to play Watkins, so people are looking at benching say Grealish or a March, but I'd want to play those guys. I really, really would. In the chat, it looks like Haaland or Watkins for the armband, says Bill. Would you be tempted to captain anyone other than Haaland this week, Dean? Like, even if you owned Watkins or Salah, for me, it's just Haaland all day long.
Yeah, I just don't see the point. It's too risky. Yeah, don't do it. Like, Haaland is going to be relishing this fixture. As I say, like, if he is up against Rob Holding as well, no brainer.
Poor Rob Holding. Best hair transplant in the Football League.
Yeah, he is. Good luck, Rob.
Okay, let's move on with some questions. But guys, thank you so much for your input. Solanke or Matoma this game week, says Oscar. Solanke or Matoma? I mean, Solanke does have a really good fixture, doesn't he? Does he have
Southampton, isn't it? Yeah, Southampton away.
I'd still go
Bournemouth got an absolute paste in the other day, didn't they? What was that all about?
4-0, yeah.
Didn't see
Again, I said West Ham would be tied for that one, and they weren't.
Exactly. A game like this is so hard to predict. It's like a derby. Southampton have got everything on the life. Like if they can win this and claw Bournemouth back into it and give themselves a lifeline, stranger things have happened than that. Like Southampton actually playing okay. Obviously, just gone to the Emirates and got an unlikely point. So they might take some confidence from that. So just beware of what a ridiculous season this has been, everyone, because there's going to be one or two strange things that still are going to happen between now and the end of the season.
Yeah. Question from Stian. And again, I guess this is a question Dean and I both face. We've both got these two keepers. We kind of get asked it a lot, actually. Kepa or Raya in goal this week. I mean, they play each other. Stian's benching Chilwell, which I think is really, really bold. Like Chelsea have got a chance of a clean sheet, but also Chilwell offers such a great amount of upside, like more than most defenders in the game, probably other than Trent at the moment. Like at the moment, Chilwell upside is huge. Yeah, I'd play Kepa and Chilwell, but I am playing Kepa and Chilwell.
Oh yeah. So I was literally looking at this last night. I was like, which of these two goalkeepers am I going to go for? And I had Raya in at the time. I thought, you know what? I think I'm bringing Kepa back in for this one. I just got to go with that. It's just more gut instinct again than anything. I mean, this could literally go either way. Benching Chilwell again, that is risky. Good luck, Stian, but I don't think I would be doing that. Just to touch, obviously, we're doing kind of team news as we've been going through this show, really. As I don't know, just something that's cropped up because I've seen a few people asking this about which of Brighton's 2 goalkeepers to actually play.
Ooh, yeah.
So
many made that move on wildcard to go steal in, and now I guess it's
I
up
wish
in
I had
the
some
air.
good news for everyone that's got this conundrum, but it says Roberto De Zerbi has refused to confirm who will be in goal. Asked whether he'll be picking Sanchez or Steele, he said, I have no doubts about Sanchez. When I decided Jason played, it was about style of play, but Rob played very well on Sunday. Tomorrow, we will see. It's the most important game of our season. We have to start in our style, and winning would be a great result. It's too
In
early
our
to think.
style, which is passing from the back, which Steele's better at, but it's a hard one to call because he was great in the semi, wasn't he, Sanchez?
Yeah, he's given nothing away there, but my reaction would be the same as you though. Like, I think Steele. I think he'll go back to it.
Oh, do you know what? De Zerbi is not a manager that doesn't tell you stuff. Like, it's a bit of an Italian thing. Like, they pretty much tell reporters what they want to hear. Like, he'll give a legit answer 9 times out of 10. So for him to be guarded on that, I wonder if he still doesn't know the answer
He might
himself.
genuinely not know. That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point.
Jermaine says, does Chilwell start against Brentford? Absolutely does. Yeah, he's had a week off as well. Remember, Chelsea didn't have a fixture. A lot being asked about Kepa and Raya. We're both saying Kepa. I saw a question earlier, which was a good one. What was that?
Grealish, Mac 10 or Isak, which one would you bench? Well, McAllister was played deeper, hasn't he? He's been dropping back in again now.
Until Veltman came on and then Gross went into the middle. Veltman is the key cog here because if you play Veltman right back, you play Gross in the middle and then McAllister's the 10. But if you play Gross right back, McAllister's deep.
Yeah, you really do have to keep a close eye on Brighton from week to week on how McAllister's going to play. My gut would be actually to leave McAllister for this one.
I think 50% of the games between now and the end of the season, you'll get him at number 10, and 50% of the time, you'll probably get him deep. I think that's what we've probably kind of seen in the last 5-6 game weeks. If you look at the minutes he's had in each position, it's probably pretty 50-50. Who's going to be starting up front, says Haley, for Brighton? Because, I mean, Welbeck is currently the first choice. Ferguson is injured, but I think will be back soon. Ferguson was apparently fairly close to featuring in that semi. And Ciso plays in the 10 role and has been really good in the Premier League. And I thought played all right in the semi, but came off after the hour. So I think Enciso probably keeps his spot. And
I imagine it's Enciso. Don't know. Yeah, I think Enciso. Yeah, I know that like they really rate him. He's been getting more used to the Premier League, like culturally as well as the playing style. So I think it could be a good game for him.
Yeah. I think that game's got goals, by the way, because Forest always score at home. And Brighton, I think, as De Zerbi says, biggest game of the season. Keep your questions coming in. We'll keep our eyes on any press conference nuggets. I can't believe that City weren't asked about Ake. That's really annoying for me because I really wanted something concrete, but I'm just going to assume he's out. And annoyingly, I'll probably end up selling him because I think we're going to see mass rotation with Man City anyway. When I look at their schedule in the next couple of weeks, they're pretty much playing twice a week every week between now and the end of the season. Barely any recovery days.
Yeah, it's you're right. So I'm just trying to look up people asking about James Maddison, and I'm just trying to double check.
I had him my free hit teammate. It was so annoying because then he had the bug. So I expect he's going to be, if it was just a bug, he'll be fine. But
yeah, absolutely. That I'm just making sure that because there was actually a proper update I read on this in the local Leicester news reporter put out a link. I'm just trying to open it. It's one of those stupid websites that has 400 pop-ups every time you scroll down.
Leicestershire Live or something.
Yeah, like this is the most off-putting thing any website could ever do. You are never purposely going back if you can't scroll down a page. Yeah, it says expected return date. Yeah, Leeds. The doctor said that he should be fit. So there you go. We're looking like Maddison will be okay.
Grant makes a good point. Chilwell playing in a back four now, Reece James out for the season. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think we will see a back four. And I think Frank probably wants to play a back four.
Yeah,
he tried playing a back four against Real Madrid. Don't worry about Chilwell being in a 4 or a 5. He's still super advanced. Like, I promise you that. Look, Robertson and Trent have played in a back four only at Liverpool. And look how advanced we've seen them at times. Back four doesn't mean fullbacks can't get forward. Theo Hernandez at AC Milan usually plays in a back four. And he's pretty much a wide forward. So, yeah, don't worry too much about that. Who's going to play right back for Chelsea, though? Don't know. I think Azpilicueta still might be out, and Chalobah could come in and play there. Loftus-Cheek can play there. It's a bit of a weak spot now, though, without Reece James.
It is a bit of a weak spot, isn't it? Some chopping and changing to do for Lampard there, and he's not very good at that. So that's another reason.
He's not very good. He's not very good at things where he has to make decisions.
He's really not. It's like if he picks a team and it's not going to plan, you're like, well, there's absolutely no in-game management to come. So that's that.
Yeah. Guys, just good questions coming in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We've got over 350 of you. I knew it'd be a little bit of a late stream in terms of people coming on, joining us in the live, because you're not used to seeing us at this time slot. Do follow Chasing Green Arrows on Instagram and Twitter. You can see our handles at the top of the screen there, because we always put on our Instagram and Twitter the next show, like a couple of hours before or even the day before, we'll say when we're going live. So always worth following us for those notifications. But we will be back on Friday. I guess there's no Friday night game, is there? We're on a Saturday deadline, are we, this week? I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I hope so too.
If so, we'll be back on Friday night. And
Saturday 12:30 is the first game. So yeah, it'll be a Saturday morning deadline. Tony just having a dig at me. He said, Dino, it's the internet. Pop-ups are proof advertising works. Yeah.
Not that many.
Not that many. Not as many are on some of these silly news sites where all the text of the website actually disappears so that you have 3 or 4 pop-ups on at the same time. Absolutely ludicrous.
It's like watching an illegal stream.
Yeah, absolutely that. By the way, someone asked me the other day on Twitter if like AI will influence FPL in the coming seasons. Like
started.
Yeah, and I thought, I'm going to ask you about that because he's probably got a bit more insight about how that might affect the game and like how it, pans out. What do you reckon?
The AI free hit team that was suggested by by one site in particular scored 82 points. My free hit team scored 62.
Oh no.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
You're done. You're done.
There'll be no FPL experts anymore. Sky Sports won't be using me. They'll just type into a computer what they need to be told.
I did try one the other day, and I just to try and get a transfer story. I was like, which team is Harry Kane most likely to join? It's like I cannot predict the future.
Great. CH, thank you for that. Bless you, shout. I muted my mic, but it was clearly very obvious that I sneezed. Cheers for that, CH.
I've muted about 10 times today. I've got some cough that just literally will not go away. Madridista asking what our reading is on Brentford and Toney. I've given up. I've given up on this one.
He escaped the yellow card ban, though. He made it to game 32. Fair play. No one saw that coming. I think he went like 7 or 8 games without a yellow, which was crazy.
He is the best ban dodger in football. This man will refuse every suspension that is heading his way, and he'll play forever. He'll take his suspensions at the end of his career, I think, Ivan Toney. So just back him if you fancy him. He's clearly not going anywhere.
Tim said, humble Sky Sports expert brag. Yeah, cheers, Tim. I'm back a couple of times in May. I got the call up yesterday. Happy with that.
Nice.
You always worry when you first go on a show like that. Well, any new show, you're like, your first show is pretty much the trial, isn't it? Yeah. So you're like, am I going to be asked back?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to get
good sign. It's always a positive sign.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Guys, do I captain Haaland or Salah, says Med. Would any part of us consider Liverpool? They're just so unreliable. If Liverpool were at Anfield tonight or on Wednesday night, I would be looking at Liverpool and bringing extra Liverpool players in like Jota for hits because I backed them at Anfield.
If you were determined not to pick Haaland, then Salah's not. There's no problem with that. Salah at West Ham, but Med, like you're just going to make life complicated for yourself, really. Everyone's on Haaland, so unless you really want to go against the crowd, then just stick with the most obvious one.
And if you're watching that game, if you're watching City versus Arsenal, what a horrible experience to watch it not captaining Erling Haaland. Like genuinely, I'll be watching that from behind the sofa. That'd be horrific. I just would not enjoy that 90 minutes of football. Like FPL has changed the way we watch football. sometimes for the better, but often for the worse if it's like you're going without a highly owned asset. So
100%.
What's your prediction for that game, Dean? Are you backing a big City win? Like you've said from day one, Arsenal are going to stumble at some point. Well, to prove you wrong, they need to beat City.
Yeah, they absolutely need to win this game. I don't think they will. I don't know how far City can push this. Part of me thinks that they could like really give them a hiding and score like 3, 4. But it's all about Arsenal getting their game plan right. Like that matchup with Haaland and potentially Holding is something I just can't get out of my mind. Like if that's going to be the case, if Xhaka's missing 2 in the middle, if Arsenal are doubting themselves, the traits that they've shown have been credible for sure. Like the ability to fight back, to never give up. There's all these like lovely narratives around Arsenal, but the thing that hits you in the face is they are not as good as Man City. They don't have as good a starting 11 as Man City, and their squad is not as deep as Man City. And this is the time of the season when City rise, and like they're typically good in like domestic cup finals. This is basically a domestic cup final. Like Man City come into these occasions ready to make it theirs, and they'll feel that if they win this game, they'll win the Premier League title. I just find it so hard to go against that. So I'll say like a 2-0 Man City win, but if I was like ready to push it, I think it could even be 3.
I think I'd agree there. I think 3-1 maybe. Dude, I just saw some more from the De Zerbi press conference. He said Danny Welbeck was a problem for the trip to Forest and he wouldn't take any risks with Ferguson. So he's confirmed. This is what he does. I told you about De Zerbi telling press reporters what they need to know. He has confirmed that attacking midfielder Fernando Bonanate will start against Forest. This is a guy that's probably on his first Premier League start. He's confirmed that he'll start against Forest. So I'm just checking him in FPL. I think he's listed as a forward, but he will be a rock bottom price forward. No, he's listed as a midfielder. 4.5 mil. So presumably it's him and Enciso up front.
Interesting.
Or unless Undav comes in. But Undav...
It does make me wonder a little bit about what he's willing to gamble here, because he's willing to throw someone like that into the team, then what other first 11 picks is he willing to change up for a game like this, given that a lot of them will be exhausted after what happened on Sunday?
Yeah, that does mean McAllister, if they're both playing, that means McAllister's deeper. And that also then means Gross is playing right back, which means Veltman is available and free. If he needs to say rest and a Stupinan, Veltman could go across and play left back. So again, Stupinan played 120 minutes. If you're nervous about March and Matoma, you can probably be nervous about Stupinan as well. So that's really interesting. Interesting.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. Good stuff. Great. Well, we'll be back on Friday. 400 of you are with us. It's been awesome having you for the stream. If you're just joining us, go back and watch the last hour. It's been fun and filled with loads of press conference quotes, our teams. We did some tips and chips. We looked at Liverpool tactics. We spoke about Jota at length. We answered loads of topical questions. If you did watch the full hour and you're looking for something to do in the next 15 minutes, I've also done a 15-minute game week preview on my channel. You can go check that out. But for now, guys, we will be back on Friday evening for the big double game week 34 preview. I can't wait for that one. We're going to see some super green arrows there, but hopefully we get greened this week as well. For now, he's been Dean, I've been Janny, and we've been chasing green arrows.